Good evening. What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Wow, it's cold in the mountains. Okay, I'm just going to say it like that. And it's true. So right now I'm just checking the feed because I'm coming from my little hideaway. Anyway, lots going on, huh? Lots going on. So yeah, you got me up here. Hello, Beth. Denise, how are you? Everybody have a good day, I hope. So, anyway, I didn't get to come on this morning because I really got behind on some of my own life. And I needed to catch up, and then we had a devastating storm that pushed all through the entire area of Pittsburgh and outside. Hello, Randy, what's going on, guys? I thought I'd give you a quick heads up, talk a little bit how toxic the world is right now. But again, a little bit about me. My apologies to everybody who follows. I really needed a couple days to come up to my mountain place and deal with some stuff up here, as well as in Pittsburgh due to a really bad storm. So I busted ass, got to the garden, cleared fields, just things that are regular in our life things. So anyway, I just figured I'd check in tonight and say hi to everybody, tap on a few things and tell you how toxic things are. I hope everybody liked that new pic I put up. I mean, I wasn't trying to be a smart ass on what I thought about it after I posted it. It's all for you guys, truly. But maybe there's a subliminal message even there. Maybe I did it for a reason that I don't even know that I did it, but I didn't do it for any wrong reason or purpose. But so here I am, 8:20. Yeah, what's today? Tuesday? I have to think about all this stuff, man. I have to think about it all. My life is always going like 100 miles an hour, just like yours are. So did anybody hear where I think it was CNN jumped on and they were addressing Biden as Mr. Biden. They were not representing him. They did not represent Biden as President Biden. They addressed him in a segment where they were talking about how he's going to give these doses of the contaminant to other countries and so forth to try to help the scenario. Well, good for you. Go help somewhere else. While you're at it, go live there. While you're at it, don't come back. But maybe that was the message behind some of this stuff. As weird as it could be. I mean, why were they calling him Mr. Biden? They're not on our side. I had to bring that up. Did anybody check that out? Anyway, we know we always got Florida on our side. We got Texas on our side. Yeah, so I got word just a little while ago that a release came out of President Trump's office, and he's going to Texas. Imagine that. He's going to accompany Governor Abbott, and they're going to, I guess, assess the situation down there, put more clarity on it, because Harris ain't going to go. Biden's not going to go. I don't even know if Harris is back in the country, but we know Joe's not. And he's up there getting his ass in all kind of trouble, right? Yeah, he's not looking good, and I don't know what's going to come of this Putin thing for sure. I don't think any of us really know that. Also, down on in the dry sand area down there, Israel sent the planes out. So that's now something going on again, and they're hitting hard down there in Gaza. Punish. You can only push somebody's button so many times. All right, let me just step forward here just for a quick minute. Hello, April, how are you? Hello. James, what's going on, buddy? So it doesn't really matter who I get on here. Again, I do apologize for this morning, though. I really needed a couple days. I should have focused a little more on that and put a little more clarity on it for you guys. But I'm here. 8:20. Get it? 10. I always come up with something. And numbers and numerologies mean a lot. And we do work in astrological numbers and key focal points and vibrations and higher consciousness. So if you follow me that, you get where I'm coming from, and you know exactly what this means. Guns, guns, guns. Dig it. I did a little investigating work myself. I did, really. I took it amongst myself here, Pittsburgh, Armstrong, Butler County. I knew a couple people in law enforcement and so forth. So I went and tried to get myself in some trouble, but in good trouble. Man, I questioned some stuff. I really did, between state police and rural area police. In the city of Pittsburgh anymore, nobody talks to me, so that's okay. But I said, hey, what do you think about this gun thing? And what are you going to do if the government puts this order out? And they all told me the same thing. We're not going to bother a soul. I hope that that's true, and I wanted to bring that up because I've been asking a lot of questions. I'm not in fear of anything on this, and I don't think anybody needs to be. But as they said to me, we're not going to violate the Constitution on anybody. Everybody has the right, to carry with permit here in the state and so forth. And we went over a bunch of stuff. And I said, but look, people are concerned about this. Would you go on camera just for a minute with phone with me? And they didn't really want to do that. But they did say, look, if it really came down to it, I guess they all have a little bit of a meeting in the Pennsylvania area. They want nothing to do with that part. They don't feel that they need to, and they've already addressed their unions. They addressed all the leadership, all the way up as close to, but not as far as the controller. So if it's the county controller, if it's the city controller or mayor, they didn't quite go that far because they know if something is put into place at any given time, which I don't think they're even working that narrative anymore. I think they're getting sick of themselves because all they're doing is failing with this toxic bullshit that they're feeding to us all. So, again, I left with some clarity that I don't think these people want anything to do with this shit. I really don't believe that they want anything to do with anything. That they're dealing with it as well as we are, as they said to me. Some are retired, and they said it would fall even on the retirees of police officers if that would go through. So, again, I just, I had this thought in my mind. I seen somebody. I knew who they both were, and I kind of cornered them for some questions, and they were happily enough to at least give me their fundamental thoughts on it. And they said, as far as they're concerned, nobody should worry about losing their guns ever. They're not going to, come after and knock on anybody's doors. That's how I get it. So Ace Hardware up in Seattle. I don't know if anybody caught that. It was just on the internet right before I decided to do this. And a guy goes to go into an Ace Hardware store. Yeah. Well, that didn't work out real good because he didn't have a mask on. The employees of the Ace Hardware came to the door with a bat. It's on Facebook. You can check it out. Didn't work out real well. And I thought to myself, where is the world going? What is this about? And who made up that rule? Fighting with bats, not to allow customers in. Interesting. Very freaking interesting. But anyway, Florida and Texas are rock stars. Now, rock stars. So Arizona governor comes up and says, hey, we're not going to do this here. We're going to sign an executive order, and they did. Now banning schools from requiring any vaccinations, masks, and COVID tests. Rock stardom. There you go. That's how it works. Just like the election. The stolen shit. Okay, we know about that. Now, here's the thing. Everybody's posting stuff and already coming out with a lot of documentation that really isn't even true. And I found that out by really paying close attention and following some stuff. Some stuff in the early patterns of understanding what this was about and what people witnessed. It was witness statements that were being released and being pulled and drug into that. But it seems like they're going to need till the end of June to actually complete everything that they need to complete. Now, Georgia's under the scope. We know that. And now, North Carolina is going to be in a very heated debate as well. That's going to be another strong area, and it's going to come up. It's going to come up hard. It comes down to this, people. And I say this with all respect to everybody that I can who listens to me and listens to what I preach about. It's going to take a little more time to get through this effort of this election fraud. But it is there. We know it exists. And we're going to have to just wait a little bit and get concrete evidence and information. I would suggest that people listen to like Doug Master, what's his name, Master Mario or something like that, or Marjorie Taylor Greene. People who are actually going there frequently enough to watch how things are and can talk and share about it. Because right now it's not ready for anybody to talk and share about, it seems. They're just not at that point. But what we do know is truth and fact here is there were a lot of ballots and questions that were never folded. They're working all that out. So basically, they have to be folded by a machine, stuck into an envelope. It goes to someone's house. They have to pull it out. They have to sign it. They do know that they have unsigned signatures. Yes, they do know that there are ballots there that were never folded, which means they never left. So people were saying, well, it's the new quantum computer. It was definitely a print off of some type of computer, something. It's alleged, though, still. I don't have any great information on it. And honestly, from everything I watched and learned today, it seems like it's going to be another decent week before we know anything good. And it's just going to take that length of time. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it comes out tomorrow and breaks somehow. Something comes up. But it just doesn't seem like that's where it's at right now. And I just thought I'd mention that because I think it's, we don't need any more failure. What we need is righteousness under the law. We know where we stand with it. But again, the narrative of what's being shared out there doesn't, and I've done it, made the mistake myself. It doesn't seem to be there. But there is one other item, a big question though, that has been put out there. And no one made a remark on this. It seems like there was one pallet that, okay, they're blank, but they were counted possibly as votes. So, yeah, they're in the POW, and as well, were things missing? Yeah. Is there deletion? Sure. These are under close scrutiny. But I just think that I should say to everybody, and I'm with you on this. I'm with you. We're just going to have to wait a little bit more time to figure out where we're at in this part. We know it's going to happen. We know so much is going to come out. We know for a fact Pennsylvania had 65,000. And we also know, just in question on small things, the tidbits that have been released would sway the vote in Trump's favor, just off a couple incidental issues. So we already know that we stand very strong on 2 feet here. But again, there's no full disclosure. There's no political correctness to be expressed yet. We're going to have to wait a little bit for that. And I say, let's wait because, hey, as long as we stand strong in their face, and this matters in a toxic situation as we're in. Yeah, today's the word is toxic because it truly is toxic. But, I mean, if we stand in their face, they don't push as hard. And I truly believe that. So, I guess the best way for me to say to you is stay strong in that area. Stay in your defense mode. Be all for one and one for all. Be strong. And, it's where we are. It's where we are. All right. I didn't have a lot set up for tonight with a lot to be said, but I do. I still do. I made notes all day, started making some notes yesterday, etc. Because I kind of thought this was going to fall at me this way with what I had to do. But that's okay. We also know Pennsylvania, though, for any Pennsylvanians out there, and I know, Beth, you're one. This might be an important fact to you. We have 2 Republicans up there in the House in Pennsylvania, and they're fighting not to allow any procedure of us to get due diligence out of the election, for us to check it. And Trump did make a statement that they're basically dirt. They're not one of us. They're just using the name of the Republicans. Why would two of our own party fight not to allow us to know the truth? Well, evidently they've made their mistakes and they're trying to cover their asses as well, because somewhere along the line their names will get dragged into it, I'm sure. But there are problems there in Pennsylvania with these guys, and they're actively fighting against us to stop anything they can if it comes down into the integrity of the election and the honesty of it all. So know that that's for real and know that that's out there. All right, let me see what else I got here, my friends. I hope you all had a great day today. It's freaking freezing up in the mountains, man. I'm up here now, and I mean, it is brisk out. Came up, it was wet, started doing some work, the sun came out. Not to get off where I'm going with anything. The day wasn't too bad, but just within the last hour, it just felt like a shelter of this cold just came out of the sky. Even the mosquitoes know what's going on. This is fun when I sit in my little hideaway because fighting the bugs off. You got to be a ninja. All right. So anyway, I don't know what's going to happen with Joe and Putin Wednesday. This should be pretty interesting tomorrow. Did anybody hear about one of the buildings, our government buildings? I don't know which one it was. This is what happens when you're doing what I'm doing right now. So my clarity's off, but this is a situation that did happen, that did occur. They removed, I heard, this part could be false. I don't know. The U.S. flag might have still been there, but the way it was stated was they represented and put up a BLM, and then they put up the transgender, whatever, gay flag, rainbows, and basically covered over, or was actually removed, the U.S. flag. I don't know which. I'm going to find out which one this is. This is very freaking interesting to me because it's a deplorable act to remove our flag off any of our government buildings. But this did happen. It's a real story. It got out there. It's my mistake for not picking up enough of it and remembering enough of it to share with you on it. But I was told that it happened, and it is in PA. By what I learned. Not anybody sent to me. If somebody was sent it to me, I could have looked it up and said, there we go, got it. But that's not it. All right, so anyway, vax safes. There's some other interesting facts coming out about Fauci, the Batman and whatnot. It seems that not just they had one success of an element of bad, but it seems that they actually accomplished creating a couple. 2 to 3. COVID-19 being one of them, which was the corona. The original was the corona, then the C-19. So it looks like, from my calculation, there's 4 strands of this thing out there, and they've already started a rupture in the party, saying that there's already in India and now in the Ukraine, different parts, there's this new strain. And Joe even mentioned out of his own tongue, okay, that expect more to come. I think I talked to you guys about that. But now what's coming out, and I don't know if this is false narrative, and it really could be, that Germany had released some early traveling passport, so to be, kind of passports where they marked that you had it. And on it, it had C-19, check mark, then it had COVID-21. So is this what they're talking about? Is this what Joe mentioned the other day? That we have an issue and more likely to follow? I know there's something more bigger out here. They're going to hit somehow hard. Because, we're in the midst of a big fight, a big argument, a big disagreement on how the country's being ran. And it's not being ran well. We know that. We know where we're at with that. But it seems to be that with what we learned from emails, the jokes even, let's face it, we have some very despicable button-paid for souls that worked with Wuhan. And isn't it funny that everything about the virus is named after, and this isn't coming from me with originality, it's coming from somebody else. But, everything about it mentions Wuhan, mentions COVID-19, mentions where it was developed. I don't know, man. it's crazy. It's crazy. But I got a lot more stuff that I did look into. And I looked into a bunch of doctors, like 75 of them, that have come forth, and they're giving great documentation about a lot of stuff. And I thought I'd bring up a little bit of that. I also want to bring up a couple other things. I don't know if any of you guys heard of West Point. This is very interesting because it has to do with children. West Point's a place that people of military usually send their children to. In an early age, it's a school, but they learn military, and they become military-grade young people who want to be officers and so forth. Up at West Point, it seems that they were pressuring so hard on the kids to receive the vaccination and so forth. The ones that would not commit to it, that refused it, they were housed in a room for like 23 hours with only an hour out a day. Well, the parents got wind of it, and thank God for that, and they went there. They raised holy hell at the school, and they said, you're not going to do this to our children. And they went and they got attorneys and legal people and made a bunch of contact over the internet on people who do legal like this and are activists for us that help people like us, or them, not us, but them in need, in a time of need, where their children are being threatened and pushed into a narrative to accept this because they are in a military branch school. Okay, now mind you, they're minors, but this is one of those schools. It's called West Point, and it's a military. At one point, when you said West Point, that was credentials. It meant a lot, but not when you push a narrative for the federal government like this. Okay, and that's what they're doing also to our adult military people. You know, so anyway, I thought that would be an interesting fact to bring up to you because it's all about vaccination and election right now. And that seems to be our trigger, a point of pressure that we need to keep the fight back onto. I've always said this, but it seems to be right now we're heightened there. Joe's making himself look like an ass, of course. Can't remember anything. He doesn't want to talk about business on camera, but he did it anyway. I may owe everybody an apology. It seems that Joe might have called Putin a killer, where how I got it off a narrative, I stated that I think I made an error in how I said it to everybody, and I apologize to you guys for that, was the fact that I thought that Putin called Joe out as a killer, which he is. I mean, he wouldn't be wrong for saying it, okay? So anyway, they're in this little dilemma. Wednesday's going to be good. Tomorrow's going to be good. Anyway, there was another thing over masks, and another incident like the one up at Ace Hardware. This is an issue that occurred, a triple shooting, actually. I think this is down in April's area, if you're still on April, Georgia, at the Big Bear Grocery, if it's actually there in Georgia. I'm not 100% sure. All right, but anyway, she kind of led me on to this, so thank you for that, April. But a triple shooting where, a cashier clerk was left dead. And this was all over masks. And, I mean, no one's even following these freaking orders, CDC says if you got the COVID, you don't even need to do it. You don't have to have a mask on. And here we are on the other side saying, screw you. We're ballsy. We don't want the shot. We know what it's about, which we really do know what it's about now. Even more so. So here we are walking around with them without no masks on. But that's okay. And evidently, there's still people with issue in some businesses who they said can have the right to do business as they see fit. And it's not working out very well. These are only a couple examples of like 15 incidents that have occurred. So I just wanted to bring that up. So it was a triple shooting, over mask, leaves a cashier dead in Georgia at the community store grocery store known as the Big Bear Grocery. If I'm sure if anybody hears of anything more on that, we'll get it posted for everybody and everybody can check it out. And yeah, do we have a lot to talk about? Yeah. Could I talk about Honduras and Hamas? Oh, I could, but that's not where the action is right now. I'm telling you, it just isn't. The action right now is Putin being where he is, making an ass of himself, and now CNN calling him Mr. Biden. They are not even addressing him. His own manufactured freaking media is acknowledging him as Mr. Biden. Could somebody be holding a gun to somebody's head somewhere? I'll leave it at that. Anyway, how does a guy like this get a position such as the President of the United States and be able to stay even in there and fuck it up as he has? Because he has, and the world has seen it. Yeah, and people are actually like patting him on the head, like, don't worry about it, Joe, we'll get you through this. Boris Jagoff Johnson, okay, Joe, we got it for you, Joe. I mean, this guy looks like a fucking fruitcake. There's no doubt about it. And yet, it has to be his wife pulling some magical string somewhere. Maybe she's a lot smarter than what we know. We don't know a ton about her. But we do know anybody in the Biden family. They're all dirt. They're all deplorables. They're all winning for government money. And she probably has a lot of background knowledge of a lot of shit that was going on, including some of the hanky-panky shit that he was involved in with the HT, because he truly was. And there's documentations to these facts. They can be backed up. All right, so outside of that, we know he's a laughing stock up there and all those things and whatnot. And the term for the only way that I could put it is like, the new idiot Joe. I don't know. Us as Americans, I want to say this about Putin. I said this before. If he remarks the wrong way, I wouldn't doubt Putin slapping him across his head right in front of the world. But I want everybody to know this, and a lot of people may not know this. We have always been taught in history that Russia was the worst country on earth. And maybe they built themselves a reputation for that, just as America has been the strongest military on earth, which is not exactly 100% true. We might be techno-smart greatness, but there are people in strength in numbers, like China, who are just very, very large on military souls. They have them. But did you know how many, I think 2 or 3 times, Russia came to our side to help defend us? Do people know that? That's why I'm saying where Trump and Putin really are, and as Putin remarked already early into this G7, there's no comparable between Trump and Biden as men. One is a man, one is not. I'll leave it to you like that. Something else interesting in Hollywood, New York, Portland, and up in the hills in Hollywood. This is suppressed by media, the manufactured media. And this is weaponry coming out of China, getting into the United States, and we're talking about a lot of weaponry. Now, we know how Hollywood has names and music industry has names, and people, you can't use my song, Trump, coming from like Tommy Lee. You don't use our song, Trump, and being threats by certain rock stars and so forth that want nothing to do with him because their ideologies really are waving to the other side because of what they have been involved in as well. But the point that I'm coming to here is, behind Jay-Z, Jay-Z, you guys know Jay-Z, correct? I guess somebody will say something over there with a hand gesture or a thumb. They find behind his house a storage area. And I'm not saying it was on his property. What I'm saying, it was only reflected upon behind his house. Probably had something to do with it. Loaded with artillery and guns everywhere. Everywhere. So, that being said, they were also found on the coastal areas, New York, Portland, and Chicago. So, how they getting here? China. Evidently. That's what we're finding out. What's the big deal about California, and why are so many being found down there? And how do we know the intel? There's the interesting factor. This is what tells you when things are working. What intel found out about this that intercepted all this, because we know they're all against us. Most three-letter agencies of law enforcement are not on our side. So when you have them not being on our side, but yet they are intercepting things like this in the areas that are with most importance because of most issues of problems, all through the BLM shit and the Antifa and more, which I did put up a couple videos that I found, and I knew who actually posted them, and I thought, well, I got to share this to let people know, because when you call out, the Patriots, it looked like Antifa got their asses kicked there pretty good. But I want to let you know about all these guns coming in. Yeah, they want to take our guns, and that's part of why I talked about the guns at the beginning or the forefront of this little segment that I'm doing here right now. But yeah, so you have 5 major areas in the United States where gun supplies are being stashed, hoarded, and for what reason and narrative, I don't know. But they were intercepted. A lot was taken down, and they know a lot got out. So yes, there. And then you have in California close to 70,000 people. No matter what charges they were on, they're going to be releasing them. The catch and release program for the criminals behind bars. What's the real big plan here? I think we're going to need our guns, people. I really do. And it's better to always be safe than sorry with something like that. But that's the facts of it, truly. I have an overhead light here that's really bright, but it actually bothers me. So I'm just like looking down, trying to get off a couple of the things that I have going on here that I wrote down some quick notes on. So I wanted to bring up something. There was a possible huge party and plan event, and I should get this out there now. And I'm part of it with Taking Back America and the Global Army of Donald J. Trump on those groups, platform scenarios. Right now, though, the location at the part of the Pensacola Beach, they started demanding a bunch of different stuff. Word already got out there. We're working on a new plan. I'm not there personally, but I'll let everybody know anything I can know as fast as I know it. If anybody has interest to trying to be involved. And from what I'm understanding, now there's some narratives of people who did the big Trump boat thing that may get involved. So right now it's broken all apart. I'm not going to lie to anybody, but we're trying to keep things and events together, as well as protests, marches, and anything else that we can are Trump related. And for everybody to always bring your everything Trump game with you, because it is a must. You bring your everything Trump game with you. It is a must. When we stand in their face, they feel challenged. And when they feel challenged, they are not as spiteful because they don't know how to react. They don't know quite how to take where the reality of our mindset is, because we're standing stronger than they are as they fail. And they are failing in many, many ways. They failed on every narrative so far. They pushed at us, and we're going to have to just continue to push back. The safest and best way to keep safety and love and everything that we stand for of morals is to stand in their face. Lucy, you got to chill out, baby. I love you to death. If you're on here, Luna, you know who I'm talking about. If you catch us, you're going to hear your name. But I want to have Luna on. I want to talk to her because she is so intelligently smart medically. I think she's going to be able to help a lot of us, because I am concerned about when I see narratives of issues of new names coming out. Mr. Biden, Ambassador Biden, whatever he truly is, especially when CNN now is directing and narrating his name as not President Biden, but as Mr. Biden. If any of you guys can catch that, go check it out. I think it's on one of those Instagrams or something. There's some stuff off the TV. You'll be able to see it. You'll be able to reflect with it. It'll really make you wonder what that is all about. And again, could there be a gun at somebody's head? Maybe somebody is doing something more than we know. Maybe these are the little hints that we need to see. Maybe these are the hints we need to see. So anyway, all right, where are we here? Michael, all right. You know, whatever he is, the ambassador or whatever, I want to get into this. I'm kind of going in reverse. If I would have went forward, it might have made a little bit more sense tonight. But I'm just happy to be here with friends and the people that, support and watch, share, and subscribe, and do all them rock star things that everyone's doing. And, a lot of things are growing from this platform, too. People are taking charge in a lot of ways to create and, put forth good narratives and morals to start other groups and whatnot. And that just, to me, is like fantastic to know that a little bit of a few words and 5-6 months coming back to do this again is really a great push for the American people, and that we stay strong together that way, But Joe's big thing was also, this is the big, we're back in business. My thought is, you're back in the corruption. You're back. That's the only business we ever got from it. It's not you're back in everything, seeing, this is all about the true colors of the left, right? Everything that we've learned about them. What they see as business, we see as bullshit, and that's where it is. It's all lies. So, we're going to have to keep a lot in mind on where we are with Arizona, the vaccination, the push on the children. And I think if we stay strong on them four fronts, we're going to be good. I really believe that. The other thing that I saw was pretty weird. Did anybody see all the ladies in red? And they were doing the hand signal. I don't know if that's Masonic, Babylonian, 100%. But they were all in red. The color of the blood red, and black patent heel leather boots, doing some type of ceremonial freaking thing. Did anybody catch that bizarre movement? I just wanted to bring that up. I just thought it might have been a little bit important. But I also wanted to bring up something on the CDC. A lot of people don't know this, but they, as far back as people can remember, from 1915 all the way up to 1972, there has been this big effort of agendas. And it's always existed there as far as back as people can remember. And there's been other people that spoke on this, but I thought it would be important, being that I'm sticking so tight-knit to the vaccination thing, and that seemed to be the majority of information out there right now that people were going over. Not all of us, but that's what I was able to find of certain things of interest. But in the earliest 19s up to 1950, the things we were involved in, we were testing people. Our government, not we, our government. So maybe they might have been some of our grandparents, and if they were, they need their shit slapped out of them for what they did if you only read about it and knew about it. Because there were some really, really spiteful things that they did to make people suffer. And that wasn't of one color, it was of all color. Every life, it was included in many ways on that narrative. But it was where they had pills to cure things, but yet they let people suffer through them. And when they told people that they would promise them better health by them giving these injections, it always came down to quick vaccinations and deaths. The same place as we are in right now. Is what they have always done in their narratives. And it didn't matter who they were involved with, if it was a governmental Fed office or a CIA or whatever. It didn't matter. It was always about, we have your solution, but you're never going to get the solution. And that's just sad. But if you research back to 1915 to 1972, you'll find that out. You'll find in 1960 some major shit happened. 1972 again. 1997, even Clinton come out and said, this is bullshit. We got to stop doing this to people. But yet his narrative was only to look good that day. Because look where we are, and look what they're involved in. And look at the suppression of what they caused. Look at the money laundering that they have accomplished through the years. And look at all the people that around them. That if they knew anything that they didn't feel was justifiable to their benefit, they X'd you. And we just saw that again. They got rid of another guy. Suicide again? And this was the guy on the tarmacs that broke the story in the news about the secret meeting. Even Trump met the guy. Congratulated him. Took pictures with him. But that's who these people are. And they're all tied in through this whole thing. Everybody's tied into it. Yeah, interesting stuff, honestly. So I talk a lot about this, and this is a very well-known name since I'm still on this same topic. And I apologize if I'm tired or boring anybody with it. But the truth of the matter is, it's what we know, and it's what the facts are. And this lady's just a rock star. But I have a thing that I'm going to put up and try to share to everybody. I'm going to see if I can figure out how to upload it. It has, I think, near 70 doctors now that have come together to fight the federal government, the CDC, and more about where we're at right now and what they know. Because we do know early in 2002 now, all the animals that were in this study right now of what's going on, of what they're giving people, in 2002, the documents found reveal that all the animals did die. Okay? And then remember, they do the animals first. That's the way they usually do the trial thing. If the animal makes it, we know the human will. Send the monkey up into space. If he comes back and he's in good shape, we know we can go up. You know, that kind of thing. Well, in 2002, they started this narrative with this, of similarity. And basically it just blew up in their face. It blew up in their face. But anyway, Dr. Tenpenny, great lady that she is, says it now that there were like over 310,000 issues, complication issues. And within 6 months, she feels that's when the devastation of the shots and the next flu epidemic as we go into our fall season will really take rise. That's the big beware factor of what's going on in many ways. And I thought I'd tell you that part to keep yourself strong. Water, vitamin D, a lot of vitamin C, eat healthy, a lot of greens, stay off the high fats. You don't have to go to extremely meats and stuff, but just go to lower portions. Don't eat till you're so stuffed you don't feel good. You know what I mean? Which means you might want to, manage your weight. But the truth of the matter is you'll be healthier. And with what we're knowing and what Joe's spitting out of his mouth, what we just found out that there is another variant. Has nothing to do about what they're talking about unless it's the slip of the tongue that Joe made the other day, where he has stated that there is something expected to come. You don't say something like that unless you're just stupid dumb, but he is stupid dumb. And again, it could be just that he's just not there. He's not there. But he made mention of it. He made mention of it come from his tongue, not from mine. And it matches up with Tenpenny. It really does. On things that have been mentioned here by her. By fall, we will see much of how this will affect, and more likely to see another lockdown. And that would be a fall lockdown. As I said, blackouts. What's our most vulnerable things? Our water. What's our most vulnerable things? Our power grid. What's our most vulnerable other vulnerable things? Our life, sickness, our health. These are the three key elements that they will try to fight us back on. That's why we need to stand very strong in their face on the key elements of the push back of the election fraud, without a doubt. That we have to stay serious strong on, as well as this whole COVID issue. We got to get that most wanted man in Washington, Fauci, picked up, arrested, questioned, and to be tried. We need to go through with this. We need for him to open up. We need to put him on the stand without deals and for him to tell us who all's involved. And we know it's Gates, without a doubt. We know that he's bought and paid for by him. There's paperwork and emails about that. There's also phone transactions as you go through texting. And it's just funny how certain things keep popping up of relevance, even though we're not in charge. Are we not really in charge? Somebody's doing something, and I've always said that. So these are some of the things that were in my head today, just in passings and whatnot. But I want to let you know what these the children are going through, because I think this is the safety, and the children are everything. They're bleeding from the eyes. They're getting fevers over 104. Headaches that are incredibly painful that they pass out. Okay? Nosebleeds as well. Cardiac issues, and we've heard much on that, and they're expecting up to 150,000 more cases to happen just by the numbers of children now receiving this contaminant. So, also a train of thought and loss on words are coming into act where you're almost like dumbfounded. Maybe it's part of what Joe getting the vax has happened to him. I don't know. He seems to be lost with words, but exactly what you're seeing there is how children are acting after they get it. A lot of these things happen within the first 72 hours. School teachers are calling these doctors and letting them know what they're watching their children in the schools. The ones that started these programs where the parents allowed it to occur or were just too damn stupid and didn't have the nerve to stop it. But that is the truth on that part of it. So those are just some of the issues and reports that came directly from school teachers as well as Dr. Tenpenny and a couple others, okay? But I can't really remember their names, but I have some information. Beth, I'm going to send you something tonight. I think it'd be really important for you to share this somehow. You're a rock star when it comes to knowing how to do that stuff. So check this out when I send it to you. And there's so much information, so much credible information in this, it'll just blow you away. I mean, it'll blow your ass right out of the water. Honest to God, it really will. It really, really will. You know? Well, it looks like I covered all the little narratives that I was hunting for. Yeah, I didn't have a lot, but I felt, it was just a minute of my time to come and hang out with everybody for a few. Apologize to you guys for this morning not being on and whatnot. I'm not no professional at this stuff here. I like to do podcasts, sure, broadcasts. I like to get good information and share, but there's nothing really ironclad tight right now, except for where we are with the election and the vax. That's the truth. Everything else is still out there. There's a lot of this, that, and other things going on. Fightings, rioting still is occurring. There's a lot of killings. We have a suicidal rate that's up. We have people that are just like falling apart in their minds. The anxieties are just going nuts. We have a complication of a different matter that is occurring in America. And we have overdoses. And now we have just drugs coming across the board with fentanyl coming out of Mexico. I mean, we have a lot of issues. But I do have the key factor here that might be able to get something done here. We know now that Trump is going to come out and he's going to visit Texas with Governor Abbott, and they're going to assess the issue. When you have a president who is MIA and MIA, and you have a vice president who can't not laugh under pressure when she's questioned, and the most simplest way, because of who she is and what she should be doing, again, this is also a mental disorder, and she needs to have it checked because it's just not working. The only thing that she kept in check and bonds was the fact that she laid her way to the top, starting with a couple of people from TV. And I also want to give you a little narrative here. A lot of people know Sylvia Browne, and I used to take my hat off to Sylvia. I thought she was, okay, maybe she's a really good psychic medium. Have any of you heard about her? Sylvia Browne, she's passed away now. Well, her and Montel Williams were the best of friends. The insiders, part of the insiders were the Democratic Party and the Playgirls, one being a Playgirl to him was VP Harris. And some of the things in her books, the prophecies of this pandemic, another person in a book, her, Sylvia Browne, wrote this would happen. Just like Fauci said, in this term, this would happen. Just like Obama said, right now, this would happen. It was all being leaked in the books, in the people. However, Sylvia used it as a monetary value to build an empire of writing books. And I'm sorry to say and disappoint people and to lie to some of the people. What she reported on was not within a special something that she was able to do, but it was because she shared special information with Montel Williams, who was nailing VP Harris truth and facts. And evidently, he had her on his show weekly because she was the moneymaker for the show when he failed. And I guess Montel dug. Montel asked if narratives fit. He gave information to her. She wrote it in books. She described it to people when she would go out and do lectures and so-called speak to the dead. Again, disclosure. I hope you enjoyed that little thing, but it's a true fact. It doesn't have to do with UFOs, but disclosure comes in a big form of ways for me. And when you can expose, you frickin' take them down because their asses need to go down. Okay? And that's the truth of the matter. So yeah, Sylvia, VP Harris, and Montel Williams were all very good friends. And if you go into her book, I think it was book 7, you'll see it. I kid you not. Look it up. Even Google it. Sylvia Browne, prophecy, COVID. I think it will even come up. You'll see that. So we see all these narratives that are out there. They all match, just like Lockstep, the Foundation, you know, the Bilderbergers, all these key elements. We're here, pandemic, all a lie. We know it. Take off your mask. Let's have a burn party. Who's up for steaks? Might as well do something good about it, right? Stay positive, stay healthy, and, keep rocking, America, rocking in that free world. And I shouldn't say that because he told Trump not to use that song. Yeah, so more of that shit from the shit shows out there and the people we supported. Anyway, that's how life is. That's how life is. So I'm not going to be on tomorrow morning, okay? I got another hard day's of work up here. I'll try to sit down tomorrow and get something good as a good segment. I don't like to keep talking about the vaccination. I don't like to keep talking about this, that. But the G7 was kind of had some key elements. I'm sure Putin will be a rock star tomorrow in some ways. And don't forget what I told you. In dire times, Russia came to our defense. Okay? The narrative of what history is taught is not all true. Look it up. Look it up. There's things that can be found out there. I don't always talk about them unless I feel it's prudent to Putin, okay? So thanks, everybody. I appreciate you guys hanging out, man. Beth, I'm going to send you something. I think this is important for everybody to look it over, and maybe we can get over this hurdle and bridge about where we're at with this vax, this contaminant that they want everybody on. And I think it's really important because much is said about other things, earlier things, methods to come after. And there are so said things that could occur. My biggest fear right now, though, is water and our power grid and our lives. And I don't mean that they're going to blow us up, although, we already know that they threatened President Trump repeatedly, and he is in good protected hands. You can count on that. He's definitely in good protective hands. We're all going to hope for the best right now, right? Rock it. Thank you, guys. Don't judge me. I won't judge you. I'm still limping. But I'm getting along. You guys have a great night. Thank you so much. I appreciate all you guys, man.